Hello everyone, I'm AJ Simon and today I'm going to talk about budgeting and how you can use it to hopefully save and invest more every single month. First I will talk about budgeting and then afterwards about how much you can actually invest or save every single month with the money that you've saved or budgeted or however you look at it. The first step is actually pretty simple and self-explanatory, and that is just to track your spending. If you have no idea where your money is going, then it's going to be really difficult to save more than you would otherwise and to actually make a budget in the first place. So do that by either downloading an app in the App Store, Play Store, whatever else store you want, or you can use the Excel sheet I've included in the description down below. So you can use that if you want. Next, I want you to list up all your expenses in the app or Excel sheet that I've provided and list everything up in 3 categories. And they are needs, wants or nice to haves, and lastly, the savings. Needs are everything like water, electricity and housing. Wants are everything like internet, Netflix, the bare minimum amount of clothing, restaurant visits, those types of things. And then lastly, you have savings, and those are just the amount you have left over every month. Next, I want you to add up everything in each single category. This means that probably your needs category is going to be the highest number, which is perfectly normal. But that way we have a baseline number for each of the 3 categories, and we can use that to see where we can possibly improve our budgeting or possibly save money. If you divide each of these categories by your total amount that you earn every single month, and then multiply that by 100, then you have a percentage. And this percentage already indicates how much of your total income every month you are spending in each and every category. Let's look at the savings category first. This number that you've just calculated is actually just your savings rate. So if it's already above 20%, then that means that you can save more than 20% of your income every single month and possibly also invest it. This number above 20% is also a really good benchline, and if you already reach that or are above it with your current income, then you're already doing pretty great. Doesn't mean you can improve, but you're already doing pretty great. Next, also write down this number so you have some form of reference for the future. Next, let's check the other 2 categories and see whether or not you are able to cut back on certain costs or scrap it out of your budget altogether. Maybe there is also some low-hanging fruits somewhere in there, like for example switching internet providers so you can get a better deal and obviously save more money. And finally we have the balancing act. Basically you can think of it like a DJ panel that you have to switch up the board every now and then. And if you set up these switches in a certain position, then you have your budget for now. But that means that maybe your budget isn't entirely achievable in the real world, and that after a few months you notice that you vastly overestimated your savings rate, then you can adjust it slightly to a more favorable position or reduce your savings rate so you are able to spend slightly more, or potentially you are able to save more than you've otherwise thought and you can turn it the other way around. That's entirely up to you, but that requires some trial and error. These rules aren't set in stone, they are more used like guidelines. So what do you do when you receive your paycheck? Well, the answer here is actually really simple. The first thing you do is pay yourself first. So say for example that in your budget you decided that you are able to save up 35% of your income, and hypothetically speaking you have an income of 2,000 euros every month, then you use 700 euros of that paycheck and put it on your private account. And the other 1,300 euros are then used to pay whatever other bills you have with. Now in this 700 euros that we are potentially able to save, we haven't taken into account any spending money that you might want to use for either a gym membership, for example, or some McDonald's hamburgers, whichever you prefer. Well, here, personally, I use a 10% rule. This rule states that I can only use or attribute 10% of my total income to my checkings account every single month. So in this case, it would mean that I would put maximum 200 euros on my checkings account and use this as fun money to do whatever I want with. And then the other 500 euros of the 700 is going straight to my savings account. Never ever put these on the same account. Otherwise, it's way too easy to be able to spend this money. We've all been there as a teenager or as a kid when $100 is a really large amount of money. And then when you suddenly start working, you suddenly have a few thousand euros in your account. And you think to yourself,
man, I'm balling. I should be able to spend all this money because I need to treat myself.
And then you buy headphones that cost 300 euros that you've only used 4 times. Well, this is exactly the reason why you need to budget like this. Otherwise, it's way too easy to be able to spend all this money. And this method really has the advantage or disadvantage, depending on how you look at it, that it will allow for some lifestyle creep. If, for example, your income rises from 2,000 to 2,200 euros every month, then you are able to spend 20 euros more every single month. And still, your savings will go up from 500 euros every month to 680 every month. So it's still a great deal. If you don't want this, then you can just set a fixed amount that you keep for a spending budget every single month, so the 200 euros, and use that as a baseline, and then increase your savings rate even more, obviously. But this is entirely up to you. This is simply what I use, and feel free to adjust it however you like it. The money in your checking account is yours to spend however you want. This does mean, however, that if, for example, you want to buy a new iPhone, then you will have to save up quite a few months to be able to do this. If you want to invest, however, and I hope you do after watching this channel for a bit, and wonder how much you should spend every single month, then I have great news for you, because this is also really easy to decide. First, you need an emergency fund, and think of this like filling a jar full of money. How large does this have to be? Well, on the internet you will see an average of about 6 to 12 months of annual expenses. So basically your monthly expenses multiplied by 6 or 12. However, here in Europe you can actually get it down to about 3 months, and this is because we have a pretty great social security system, and a really large emergency fund really isn't required. If, for example, you are still employed and suddenly lose your job, then you already have a reasonable notice period and afterwards unemployment benefits. However, this is the case for Western Europe. If this isn't the case for your country, then stick with the 6 to 12 months. So anyway, if your necessary expenses are 1,300 euros every month, then you need an emergency fund of 3,900 euros total. Or let's round it up for simplicity's sake, 4,000 euros. So basically, after you've saved up that amount in your savings account, everything you add extra on top of that account overflows into your stock account or your brokerage account, and you can use that money to invest. So the month afterwards, after you've filled your emergency fund, the 500 euro you save goes straight into your investment account and you invest it. Whether you do this in a lump sum investment, so after a few months, a few thousand euros all at once, or do this incrementally, so every single month, that is entirely up to you. If, however, you do need to use this emergency fund for an emergency, and a new iPhone isn't an emergency, then the first thing that you do the months afterwards is refill it back up to full. You won't invest more money until this emergency jar is full. And what you should invest, however, is the topic for an entire other video, so Simon says to hit the subscribe button. If you are able to stick with these methods, then budgeting becomes extremely easy. And obviously, you may need to tweak this every now and then. These aren't rules that are set in stone. It also goes without saying that you are able to save and invest a lot more every single month when you are, for example, a student living at home versus when you have a mortgage to pay off and you have a child. But using this method, you can track your spending and re-evaluate every single time you enter a new phase in your life or something changes about your financial situation. I personally use this method myself, and I've noticed that, for me at least, it really does wonders and prevent reckless spending. So I suggest you really give it a try. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to press the like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And if you agree with certain points or don't agree, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. I read every single one of them, and I will also respond if I can. And then all that rests me is to wish you a fair day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.